It's time for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, Sportsnet LA presents the Dodgers as they take on the Colorado Rockies. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Wednesday evening to you, wherever you may be. We're here at Dodger Stadium, final game of the three-game series with the Colorado Rockies. Dodgers losing last night, but they're still playing very well. They've won 16 of the last 21 with different lineups just about every day, and today is a real exception. Of the starting 9 Dodgers tonight, only 3 were with the Dodgers opening day. Meanwhile, they're holding a pretty good number against Colorado. They've beaten them 10 out of 15, and 6 of the 9 played here at Dodger Stadium. Dodgers still maintain a 7.5 game lead over the Giants. The so-called magic number is 11. Another note, the Dodgers are 4 percentage points ahead of the New York Mets tonight, going for home field advantage. Dodgers and Rockies still trying to recover from last night. 58 players and 24 pitchers finally decided in the 16th inning on the home run by Nolan Arenado. The pitching, Alex Wood for the Dodgers with a record of 3-4, 7-6 with Atlanta, so he is 10-10, and he is 1-1 lifetime against Colorado. The veteran right-hander, Jorge De La Rosa, on the mound with a record of 9-6, 2-0 against the Dodgers this year, 7-10 lifetime. So those are the numbers. Sit back, pull up a chair. Good ball game coming up, along with a whole lot more right after this. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Wednesday evening to you, wherever you may be. Welcome to Dodger Stadium. Final game of the three-game series with the Rockies. After they have already played that marathon last night, both clubs are raring to go one more time before Colorado goes home. The Dodgers have an off day tomorrow, and then they'll await the arrival of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Tonight, the Dodgers are commemorating Mexican Independence Day as part of the kickoff celebration for National Hispanic Heritage Month. And appropriately enough, one of our favorite people, Fernando Valenzuela, is honored with a bobblehead tonight. He also had his family down on the field sing out to the crowd, "It's time for Dodger baseball." So the night belongs to Fernando, as so many games belong to him when he plays. As for the Dodgers, well, they get the news that the Marlins have just beaten the Mets. So we can take a look at Walt Weiss's lineup, and he's had to change a few fellas after that 58-player game last night. But Charlie Blackmon is going to be there leading off, along with the shortstop, Jose Reyes. Nolan Arenado hitting third in the lineup. Nolan's home run clinched the game last night for Colorado. Willen Rosario, who's played a lot of first base, will be behind the plate. Christian Adames is at second base. Kyle Parker is in left field. Then you have Ben Paulson at first base, Brandon Barnes in right, and Jorge De La Rosa on the mound. For the Dodgers, on the mound will be Alex Wood. He has a record of 10-10. You may or may not remember he was 7-6 with Atlanta, 3-4 with the Dodgers. So you put it all together, and he's even at 10 apiece. He is 1-1 lifetime against Colorado. So the Dodgers, knowing that the Marlins have beaten the Mets, the Dodgers now a half a game in front of New York as far as the battle for home field advantage. So here's Charlie Blackmon. He takes ball one. Last night, we knew we were in for something different because Charlie Blackmon began the game with a drag bunt single, and then Jose Reyes dumped a bunt for himself, and they had back-to-back bunt singles with nobody out, only to come up empty. Well, Reyes is in that number 2 slot now. A cool evening, lovely, same temperature as last night, 73 degrees. Boy, Charlie Blackmon shakes up the club as he bangs one into the protective railing in front of the visitors' dugout. Brett Anderson, who started last night, went 6, allowed 3 runs. Clayton Kershaw directly behind him. Left-hander Wood ready and comes back. Hard ground ball to first. Up with it is Chase Utley. That's right. Chase Utley is playing first base. The last time he played first base, August the 10th, when he was a member of the Philadelphia Phillies. But take a look at the Dodgers defensively, and it's a little different. Utley at first, Austin Barnes at second, Corey Seager at short, Alex Guerrero at third, Justin Ruggiano in left, Jock Peterson in center, Chris Heisey in right, A.J. Ellis behind the plate, Alex Wood on the mound. That was the note about the lineup. Only 3 of the starting 9 players for the Dodgers tonight, only 3 were with the club opening day, and veterans like Adrian Gonzalez taking a night off. A drive to left, moving over, fighting the light to Ruggiano, but he makes a nice play. And just like that, 2 down. So with 2 out here in the first inning, the batter will be Nolan Arenado. Last night, Arenado came up, got a pitch down around the knees from Matt Latos, and hit it into the bleachers in center field to give them the big run, and Colorado won 5-4. Nolan, of course, accustomed to hitting home runs, 39 home runs, tying him with Bryce Harper of Washington. The next pitch to Nolan, in for a strike. A note on Bryce Harper, he just hit his 40th tonight. So Harper is 1 in front of Arenado. Right hand hitting third baseman takes inside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Arenado has hit the ball very hard. Last night he had a couple of singles and then the home run, a line drive out at Justin Turner, who was playing third base. 1-1 pitch on the way. Good change, swung on and missed. Arenado swinging on the arm move, and dropped to one knee. 2 down, first inning, no score. Arenado from Lake Forest down near Mission Viejo in that area. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a young right-hand batter. The next pitch is swung on and missed, and down he goes. Arenado strikes out. The Rockies go quietly, and at the end of half an inning, Colorado nothing, and the Dodgers coming up. We can take a look at that somewhat unusual Dodger lineup tonight. Remember, only 3 of 9 with the club opening day. Austin Barnes, a catcher, playing second base. He was in AAA. Jay Utley playing first base. He was with the Phillies. Reggiano in left field was with Seattle. Seager was in AA. A.J. Ellis was with the Dodgers, as was Alex Guerrero. Chris Heisey, he was in AAA. Jock Peterson was with the Dodgers, and Alex Wood was with Atlanta. So that's the Dodger lineup facing the veteran Jorge De La Rosa. Appropriately enough, good to have De La Rosa pitching tonight. Mexican Community Night. He's from Monterrey, Mexico. Lives in San Nicolas, Mexico, and was originally drafted by the Diamondbacks out of the Mexican League. How good is De La Rosa? Well, he's a rare pitcher who can excel at Coors Field. He's 30 games above 500 at Coors, 54-24. The left-hander ready now to make his first pitch of the night to Austin Barnes. That's in for a strike, and the count 0-1. So Barnes leading off. This would be his first role as a big league leading off man. He's played a lot of second base, even though he's listed as a catcher. He takes off the plate, 1 ball and 1 strike. He has played about 150 games at second base, but not since last year. He's the first Dodger to play catcher, third base, and second since Trent Hubbard was here, and that would be in the late 90s. And the next pitch down and away, ball 2. Remember Darryl Thomas? Well, Darryl did it way back in 1980. Howie Kendrick watching a parade of talent play his position. Dodgers anxious to get him back. The 2-1 pitch on the way. And Barnes, right-hand hitter, looks at a late breaking ball that dips in for a high strike. And the count 2-2. Jorge De La Rosa started off against the Dodgers on a very struggling note, but he's improved dramatically ever since. Here's the 2-2 pitch coming up. Left-hander delivers a shot up the middle, positioning himself nicely as Adames, and the second baseman throws him out. So Barnes losing a base hit, 1 away. Jay Utley coming up. Taking a look, Colorado defensively, Ben Paulson at first. Then you have Adames, Reyes, and Arenado, Parker, Blackman, and Barnes, Rosario behind the plate, and Jorge De La Rosa on the mound. Chase Utley, the first baseman tonight. That's kind of a jolting note, but he's played there before, most recently in August. He was charged with an error in that game. Chase looks at a left-hand breaking ball that just moves off the plate. Ball one. 1-0 the count. Utley has played first base 31 times. So in all those appearances, over 220 innings, he's made just that one error. De La Rosa hesitates, comes back with a sinker low. 2 balls in, no strikes. So Utley trying to get something started with Justin Ruggiano on deck. Jorge De La Rosa, the veteran left-hander. He is 34 years old. He had Tommy John surgery back in 2011. He has won 16 games twice in his career. The 2-0 pitch, big chopper to first, backing up for the hop is Paulson, feeds De La Rosa coming over, and we have 2 down here in the first inning. Dodgers have beaten Colorado 10 out of 15, 6 of the 9 here, and there are 3 left with the Rockies on the 25th, 26th, and 27th in Colorado. So Walt Weiss deep in thought. The Rockies called up, I think, around 10 pitchers from the minor leagues early in September. And he's using these games to take a good look. And, of course, he had a very good look last night. So 2 down, and Justin Ruggiano playing left field. Checks in against a left-hander. Ruggiano last night led off the game with a double and then drew blanks the rest of the night. De La Rosa delivers, down and away, ball 1, 1-0. De La Rosa 7-10 lifetime against the Dodgers. The 1-0 pitch on the way, off speed, check swing, no swing. 2 balls and no strikes. John Tumpane is the plate umpire, and that name rings in the Dodger history book. Tell you about it in a moment. Here's the 2-0 pitch on the way. Left-handed De La Rosa delivers, and it's pulled foul, 2-1. You may remember the Dodgers were no-hitted against the Astros and Mike Fiers. That was August the 21st. Well, while Fiers was pitching his no-hitter, the plate umpire was John Tumpane. 2-1 the count to Ruggiano. De La Rosa ready. Here he comes. Swung on and missed. And the count 2-2. Ruggiano doing very well, playing left field for the Dodgers. Hitting in the number 3 slot, only the 11th time in his career. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, no score, first inning. De La Rosa delivers, high fly ball into left center. Going back on the ball is Blackman on the track, leaps. I think he misjudged the ball. It went over Blackman's glove. On his way to third is Ruggiano, and he is in there. I think Charlie catches that ball most times, but not tonight. Blackman, a very good outfielder who covers a lot of ground. And take a look on that high fastball. He goes back, ready to time, and jumps, and it just missed the side of his glove. And as we said, I think most times Charlie makes that catch. He's made a couple in this series like that, and that one hit his glove. So for Ruggiano, he will take it, a 2-out triple, and the batter is Corey Seager. For Ruggiano, his first triple of the year. Here comes De La Rosa's fastball in for a strike to young Corey. Dodgers trying to get on the board immediately with the 2-out triple. Seager hitting .419, has hit safely in 10 of 11. Batting cleanup in his 13th major league game. Wow. De La Rosa looks down to get a sign from Willen Rosario. Now the left-hander ready. comes back, and it is swung on and missed. 0-2 the count to Corey Seager. For Seager to hit cleanup in his 13th game, a couple of other Dodgers have done it sooner. Yasiel Puig, Scott Van Slyke, even John Lindsay. But they haven't had a starting cleanup hitter younger than Seager since Darrell Griffith. 0-2 the count. Here comes De La Rosa, very high, almost threw it to the backstop, ball one. He only has 2 wild pitches. Rosario makes a good save and saved a run. Start looking at young Dodger cleanup hitters. Darrell Griffith was 20 years old. Corey is 21. All right, Seager waiting. De La Rosa set. Here he comes, 1-2. Breaking ball, swung on and missed, and that's that. So the Dodgers get a break on a catchable ball by Charlie Blackmon that went for a triple, and then the odds go the other way as Seager strikes out. At the end of an inning, no score. Dodgers and Colorado Rockies. Off day tomorrow, and then the Pittsburgh Pirates will be here on the weekend, and the Bucks hanging tough on the heels of the Cardinals, 3 games back at the start of today. So here's Willen Rosario, catcher, first baseman, catching tonight. First ball hitting the ground ball to Seager. Corey throws a strike, and we have 1 pitch, and we have 1 out. And the batter now will be Adames. The Reds and the Giants, Michael Lorenzen and Jake Peavy. Peavy has been pitching very well of late. He is 6-0 lifetime in his career against the Reds. He is 27-12 in the month of September in his career. Last time out, Peavy gave up 1 run, 2 hits over 7 innings against the Padres. The pitch right now to Adames. Christian takes off the plate, 1 ball and no strikes. No score, second inning. Wood right back with a pitch that gets the outside corner. That's for a strike to balance it up, 1-1. We can also tell you the Reds and Giants are now scoreless in the first inning. 1-1 pitch. Wood comes back, tries for the inside corner and misses. 2-1 the count. Wood pitches in a hurry, both feet on the rubber. He's ready to come right back. And a 2-1 pitch, a change hit back to the box. Picked up by Wood, high throw, but Utley stays with it. And we have 2 down in the second inning. With 2 out, Kyle Palmer coming up. Kyle Parker as he checks in at the plate. In looking at the game last night, with all those players used, They figured they've had everybody in there. Parker struggling, 0 for his last 17, striking out 10 times. So here comes Wood, fastball away. 1 ball and no strikes. Parker, right-hand batter. Wood slows down for the moment. Now his 1-0 pitch sprayed foul down the right field line upstairs, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Two out, second inning, no score. Again, we repeat, the Marlins beat the Mets 6-0. Parker, a line drive base hit into right center, scooped nicely by Peterson to hold him to a long single. And the batter will be Ben Paulson.
Ben Paulson.
So Parker struggling, comes up with a line drive single. And here's Ben Paulson. Paulson was one of 3 first basemen used by Colorado last night. Morneau, Paulson, and Rosario. Left-hand hitter. Wood ready, deals, and there's a little foul ball trying to run it down as Guerrero can't do it. Tried to backhand it and no doubt took his eye off the ball, knowing he was coming very close to the railing. So it was catchable, but he couldn't do it. Eyes riveted on the ball all the way, in fact. We just assumed he took his eye off, but in the close-up, his eyes are on the ball. He tries to backhand it, and it just got away. We'll see if there's an error charge. They have flashed error, so we'll put it up there. Guerrero the error. Paulson waiting 0-1. Wood delivers a shot off his glove. Alex picks it up very calmly, throws to first, and that's that. No runs, 1 hit, a man left, and at the end of an inning and a half, no score. In mom's arms, having some fun. I always remember long before we had children, I would see a baby and I'd make a funny face and the baby would smile, and I think, oh, that's great. I got a smile from the baby, and usually the mother would say, no, it's gas. Say, oh, great. No, he's having a good time, and he's smiling too. All right, no score in the second. Here's A.J. Ellis. Fastball from De La Rosa is low, ball 1. By the way, Guerrero got the error. You know, in the old days, it was a different situation. If there was a playable foul ball, a catchable fly ball, and it was dropped, they did not necessarily give you an error. It depended on what the hitter did after you had dropped the ball. So tonight, He dropped the pop foul from Paulson. However, Paulson hit back to the box, and in the old days, Guerrero would not have gotten an error. 2-0 pitch on the way, slides in there nicely. 2-1 to A.J. Ellis. For A.J. Ellis, he has not worked back-to-back games quite a while. 2-1 pitch on the way to A.J. That's taken way off the plate. For A.J. Ellis, especially in this lineup, he's the only Dodger on last year's postseason roster. Now the 3-1 pitch coming up. De La Rosa delivers a strike. Ellis began last night, back in the lineup today. So it's the first time he has started back-to-back as the number 5 hitter since the middle of May. 3-2 is swung on. Drive to left. Going back is Parker. Watching it go out. Home run, A.J. Ellis. And the Dodgers lead 1-0. So A.J. Ellis puts the Dodgers on the scoreboard as he drives one out. His 6th home run, 16 runs batted in, and A.J. and the Dodgers take a 1-0 lead. His last home run against Arizona just a couple of days ago. And that youngster is thrilled. He's also a little shocked, I think, that he caught the ball. Combination. Alex Guerrero swings so hard he loses his balance. For A.J., 2 home runs in his last 4 games and a half a dozen for the year. 0-1 to count. De La Rosa has allowed 17 home runs, and the veteran left-hander comes back for one big curveball in for a strike. For De La Rosa, it's amazing how he has turned things around against the Dodgers. His first 14 times he was 0-8, and his last 10 appearances 7-2. Strike 2 pitch on the way. Left-hander's pitch is grounded, foul ball. Nice play by Arenado, but it doesn't count. The last time that De La Rosa pitched here would be the middle of May. He won that game 7-1. How a man can do as well at Coors Field is a mystery. De La Rosa at Coors Field is 48-16. So he can pitch. 34-year-old veteran, signed back in 1998 by Arizona, and first came up with Milwaukee. Strike 2 pitch on the way. Fastball high. 1-2. De La Rosa just looks down the barrel to get a sign from Rosario. Now he's ready, and the 1-2 pitch on the way. In the dirt. Blocked nicely by Rosario, and the count 2-2. The top winning seasons for Colorado pitchers, well, you'd start with Ubaldo Jimenez. He won 19. But when you want to be left-handed and pitch up there, Jeff Francis won 17. De La Rosa twice has won 16. And he's looking for his 10th win tonight. 2-2 pitch on the way. High fly ball into left. This is playable. And it'll be the left fielder putting it away, Kyle Parker. So after the home run, a fly ball out, 1 down, and Chris Heisey coming up.
Right fielder, number 28, Chris Heisey.
Chris Heisey last night, along with Seager and Ruggiano, were the only 3 Dodgers to play all 16 innings. None of them were in the organization 3 weeks ago. So Chris checking in. Hitting $1.50 thereabouts. Right-hand batter. De La Rosa ready, hesitates, delivers, breaking ball, whacked foul, slider way down the line. 0-1 the count. Every Asian pitcher that we've ever seen has a hesitation, as Seager is talking to Howie Kendrick. De La Rosa hesitates right in the middle of his windup, right there. Left-hander back with a breaking ball in there, and the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Here's a good look at it. He'll stop right there. Then he raises the leg and continues. No balls, 2 strikes. 1-0 favor of the Dodgers. Home run by A.J. Ellis. Strike 2 pitch on the way. Sinker low. Took a lot off it. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Rockies go home. Dodgers have a day off and then play Pittsburgh. Jock Peterson waiting on deck. De La Rosa on the rubber, looks in to get a sign, and his 1-2 pitch on the way. Left-hander's pitch is a little low. 2-2 the count. The man from Monterey, Jorge De La Rosa. Way back in 2003, he pitched in the All-Star Futures game, so he knew he was heading for the big leagues. Next one in the dirt and kicks away. Jorge De La Rosa, he pitched for the Team Mexico in the World Baseball Classic in '06. One of the things that De La Rosa learned to do is to take deep breaths. Count to 10 to relax when he gets in trouble. 3-2 count. Left-hander ready and comes back to Heisey. And that's lifted to left field and deep. Going back is Parker, but he's going to be still on the grass when he makes the catch. So a home run followed by 2 reasonably long fly balls. And the batter will be Jock Peterson coming up.
Center fielder number 31, Jock Peterson.
One of the nice things, and I'm sure he does many, one of the nice things for De La Rosa, he has a youth and scholastic baseball drive in Denver. He funds an entire RBI program, not only for 25 baseball teams, but also 12 softball teams. And he provides not only uniforms, umpire fees, coach equipment, everything imaginable. Fastball smothered by De La Rosa, gets up, throws out Peterson, and that's the inning. So the Dodgers get 1 run, 1 hit, the home run by A.J. Ellis, his 6th of the year. So while he straps on the so-called tools of ignorance, we'll show you a wise man's home run. A.J. hitting the 6th, and at the end of 2, it's Dodgers 1, Rockies 0. Fireworks come out this Friday. Take your place on the field for a fireworks show featuring a salute to Frank Sinatra. For more information, go to Dodgers.com/promotions. 1-0 Dodgers third inning. A.J. Ellis, interestingly enough, hits his 6th home run this year. He now has hit 34 in his career. 12 of the 34 have been hit on a 3-ball count. He had 8 on a 3-1 count. Tonight he hit a 3-2 pitch. That's his 4th home run on a full count. 23 of his home runs have come on the road. So the Dodgers lead 1-0. Here's Barnes, Brandon Barnes. So the Dodgers have Austin Barnes and Brandon Barnes playing right field for Colorado. He's from Orange, California, so a local boy. Sure, he has a lot of fans rooting for him, friends and relatives. Brandon, 29 years old, originally drafted 10 years ago by the Houston Astros. Swings, fouls it back. 1-2 the count to Brandon. He's good size, 6'2", 205 pounds. Ask him about playing ball. After spending 8 years in the Astros minor league system, he has accomplished what he says he has wanted since he was 4 years old, playing in the big leagues. Take strike 3 call. So Barnes strikes out. Second strikeout for the left-hander Alex Wood. Barnes kind of hesitated, held up, cost him. Down he goes. And here's De La Rosa. De La Rosa, not much of a hitter. He has 3 hits. 46 at bats and takes a strike. No balls, 1 strike. Dodgers lead 1-0. Top of the 3rd. Home run by A.J. Ellis. Strike 1 pitch kind of waved at. 0-2. And the next one foul back. Rockies score a lot of runs. They've scored well over 1,300. Dodgers have scored a little over 1,200. Of course, when you play in Denver, the thin air, that ball really carries. There's a chopper wide of third. Plenty of time for Guerrero to make the play. 2 down in the 3rd inning. And Charlie Blackmon coming up. Blackmon loves to run. He runs very well.
Number 19,
he had a
Charlie
bunt single
Blackmon.
last night, drag bunt up along first base. Covers a lot of ground. You can really enjoy a center fielder playing in Denver if he can run as well as Charlie. That was one of the things about Duke Snider. At Ebbets Field, he never really had a chance to show his speed. Charlie has a look at a strike and the count 0-1. Only when Duke, let's say, would play against the Giants at the Polo Grounds, now he had some room. Here's the strike 1 pitch on the way to Blackmon, and that's a little low. At Ebbets Field, center field was, I think, 399. In the Polo Grounds, it was about 460. And Duke could run just like Willie Mays. 1 ball and 1 strike. Wood comes back in under the hands. 2-1 the count. Willie, Mickey, and the Duke. Boy, those were the days in New York. Every kid in the city was arguing who was the best. 2-1 pitch on the way. Fastball pulled foul outside of first, down to Eric Young. EY played for the Dodgers 1997, 98, and 99. His son playing for the New York Mets. 2-2 to Charlie Blackmon. Here comes Wood. Little ground ball to the right side. Barnes kind of floats it over there in time for the out. So a nice inning for Alex Wood. And at the end of 2.5 innings, Dodgers lead 1-0. Alex Wood, then it'll be Austin Barnes and Chase Utley against Jorge De La Rosa. Interesting, when Woods made his major league debut the end of May 2 years ago, he batted third. No, not because he's a good hitter. He entered the game in Justin Upton's slot in a 9th inning double switch. Pitches left, bats right, and De La Rosa ready. First pitch swung on, lifted foul, and out of play. 0-1 the count to Alex Wood. Wood throws very well, although anyone who has any knowledge at all of his pitching worries that he's going to hurt his arm, because he's already had Tommy John surgery back in 2009. Strike one, pitch on the way. Alex swings, hits it in the air to right field. Going back for it is Barnes to make the catch. So Wood, a fly ball to right. And we have one out in the 3rd inning. In case you missed it, A.J. Ellis led off the 2nd inning, hit a 3-2 pitch for a home run, and the Dodgers lead 1-0. Austin Barnes hit the ball hard in the 1st inning. Nice play by Christian Adames to take the hit away. Austin batting .238. Jake Peavy pitching for the Giants. They are leading Cincinnati 1-0, and he's 6-0 lifetime against the Reds. And the pitch in for a strike, 0-1. Kind of an oddity. It's almost a month. The Giants trailing the Dodgers by a game and a half back on August the 21st. And as you know, Giants are 7.5 games back now. Strike one, pitch on the way. De La Rosa's fastball is fouled away. Here's the point. Since August the 21st, there's been just one day in which the Giants have won and the Dodgers have lost. That one day was September the 11th. Giants have won 7 of the last 10 up there, and they are hitting again at AT&T Park. De La Rosa looks down the barrel, taking too long to see the bottom, and Barnes backs out. Mets lost. That's important for a home field advantage. Strike two, pitch on the way is in the dirt. Ball one. For the moment, the Dodgers had been leading the Mets by 4 percentage points. Now, since the Mets lost to the Marlins, it means that Mattingly and company could be a game in front. When you look at the Dodger record at home and what they do on the road, you realize just how important it is. 1-2 pitch on the way, swung on and fouled back. Giants have added a run. They're leading the Reds 2-0 in the second inning. In their best 3 out of 5 with the New York Mets in the division series, the Dodgers are 26 games above 500 as A.J. Ellis talks to Clayton Kershaw. Dodgers, however, are 4 games under 500 on the road. Little comebacker, underhanded by De La Rosa to take care of Barnes, and that'll bring up Chase Utley. And of course, if you are the Dodgers and best 3 out of 5, and you open up at home with Kershaw and Greinke, you sure then would certainly like your chances in winning one of the next 3. So anyway, it's a big deal going on, the Mets and the Dodgers, and it's not going to be decided for quite some time. 1-0 Dodgers, 2 out, bases empty, and here's Chase Utley. Always a home run threat. Amongst active second basemen, he's on top. He takes a curveball low, ball 1. Utley has 235 home runs in his career. Robinson Cano, 234. Dan Uggla, 234. One ball and no strikes. Utley hesitates, takes a strike, and a 1-ball count. 1-1. Right side of the infield is loaded up, but there's no one on base, which makes Nolan Arenado okay. Last night, in a situation like this, Arenado was asked to turn a double play. Well, a third baseman is not accustomed to doing that at all. The 1-1 pitch in for a strike. There were not fireworks. There were long-range conversations between Nolan Arenado and Justin Turner. Walt Weiss, who played shortstop in his day, leading Rockies, and he was hollering out of the Colorado dugout. Turner walked to the far end and hollered at Arenado. Nolan just thought it was a late slide. 1-2 pitch, swung on, pulled on the ground to first. Paulson takes it to the bag, and that's it. 1, 2, 3 innings, 6 in a row retired by De La Rosa, and on Fernando Valenzuela night, Dodgers lead 1-0. ...2015 Jeep Cherokee. With an EPA estimated 31 highway MPG, it's the perfect choice. Visit Jeep.com today. Dodgers lead 1-0 on a second inning leadoff home run by A.J. Ellis. Alex Wood has given up 1 hit. Kyle Parker singled in the second inning. Jose Reyes followed by Nolan Arenado, and then Willen Rosario, and Reyes takes a strike, and the count 0-1. We mentioned it the other night It just shows you what can happen to a young fella gifted to play baseball. Jose Reyes is from Villa Gonzalez in the Dominican Republic, and an extremely poor family. In fact, to describe his family home, well, it had a tin roof, a cement floor. The back door was a flowered curtain, and the bathroom was the shack out back. Ground ball to shot, and it's Seager to throw him out, one away. The only decorations were newspaper sports sections plastered on the walls about Jose. I bring that up because he went from that kind of poverty. You know what Jose Reyes, his salary is this year? $22 million. And he has made a lot of money. And good for him. So one away, and here's Nolan Arenado. Arenado struck out in the first inning, squibs one, halfway back to the box. Alex Wood lobs it to first, and just like that, 2 down in the 4th inning. Arenado was telling us a funny thing last night. When he hit the home run and the game ended and all the regulars were out there shaking his hand, and all of a sudden, who was shaking his hand but a pitcher named Gurka, who finished up in right field. And Arenado said to the pitcher, "What are you doing out here?" And the pitcher said, "Heck, I was your right fielder." Yeah, he finished up the game. They had run out of regular position players. 2 down, 4th inning. Willen Rosario takes ball 1. Dodgers leading 1-0. Home run by A.J. Ellis. Wood back with a pitch low and inside. We mentioned a lot of people worry about Alex Wood, that he might hurt his arm. All you have to do is watch his delivery, the extension of the left arm. Back he comes, and there's a fly ball to right center. A little bit of a room service fly ball right into the glove of Icy. So 1-2-3 inning. At the end of 3.5, it's 1-0 Dodgers. In attendance Sunday, Dodgers and Pirates, and you pick up your Clayton Kershaw pin. That's the final pin in the Cy Young Pin Collector Series presented by 76. For more information, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. By the way, you might not have noticed it of late, but there's a pretty good battle for the batting title in the National League. Bryce Harper is hitting .338. D. Gordon is hitting .332, and here comes Buster Posey. Posey, in the last 16 games, is hitting .455. So he's making a move in the last couple of weeks. Very hard for a catcher to win any kind of an award, but Posey has done that in the past. Ruggiano hit a fly ball triple. It actually hit Charlie Blackmon's glove. Have the feeling Charlie would catch the ball more often than not. Hard ground ball to short, backhanded by Reyes. Gets it over to first in time for the out. And we have one away here in the fourth inning. A.J. Ellis hit a home run on a 3-2 pitch, his 6th of the year, and that's the difference in the game. Here's Corey Seager, and Ellis hitting back on him. Bottom of the fourth, 1 out, 1-0 Dodgers. Line drive inside third, down the line. It's not going to go to the left fielder, so the left fielder Parker has to charge and hold it to a single. So the infield shifted a bit. Arenado way off the line, and Corey Seager very delighted with the base hit to left field. And here comes A.J., who hit his 6th home run of the year in the second inning on a 3-2 pitch. And that gives the Dodgers the 1-0 lead. A.J. looking to Ron Renicky. When you break Ellis home runs down by month, the last 2 months of the season is when he's most dangerous. He has 9 home runs in the month of August in his career and 10 in the month of September, with maybe a little drift over into October. 1 ball and no strikes to A.J. Seager at first. Dodgers leading 1-0. A.J. back up and waiting. Big hole on the right side of the infield, and he likes to go that way. Pitches high. 2-0. You have the first baseman Paulson on the bag, and you have Adames way over to his right. 2-0 the count to A.J. Ellis. He has a lot of base hits to right field. Breaking ball fouled off to the right. 2-1. Well, now it will be interesting. You have the combination of Seager, who runs well, and the excellence of A.J., especially going the other way. So you would figure that if the Dodgers are thinking hit and run, they do have a pretty good combination here. Seager short lead at first. The veteran De La Rosa set and just staring at him. He's not going. And pitch high. So they didn't play hit and run. We'll see if they play run and hit. Simple difference. Run and hit, you're not obligated to swing at ball 4. All right, 3-1 the count. We'll watch Seager. He is not going. And the pitch inside, ball 4. First and second here in the fourth inning. And Alex Guerrero coming up. The De La Rosa in his first spot of trouble. Walt Weiss relying on his veteran to give him a good ball game. In fact, both managers are eager for their starting pitchers to give them innings after using 24 pitches between them. Walt Weiss, a wonderful shortstop. Don Mattingly, great first baseman. Matching wits here. Alex Guerrero flied to left field in the second inning, 0 for 1. And a strike, 0-1. We're in the bottom of the fourth. 2 on, 1 out, 1-0 Dodgers. And a little ground ball to third. Arenado to second. They turn it to first for the double play. So there was a walk and a base hit, but the Dodgers come up empty. Arenado starts the double play. And at the end of 4, 1-0 Dodgers. Go behind the scenes. MVP Clayton Kershaw participates in a charity wiffle ball game. Plus, Jock Peterson connects with future Hall of Famer Albert Pujols. So don't miss Backstage Dodgers. That's tomorrow at 7 on Sportsnet LA. Meanwhile, we go to the 5th inning. Dodgers leading 1-0 on a home run by A.J. Ellis. Adames followed by Palmer and then Paulson against Alex Wood. Wood has allowed 1 hit. He retired 5 in a row, gave up a hit. Now he has retired 7 in a row. Christian Adames hit back to the box in the 2nd inning. Fastball low, ball 1, 1-0. Alex Wood is 6'4", 215, only 24 years old. Went to school at the University of Georgia, and a 2nd-round pick by the Braves. Big chopper in the hole, backhanded by Seager, cranks it up, bounces it, and a great play at first base by Chase Utley. So Utley makes a very good play on a long throw. Seager couldn't wait. He really couldn't set and throw. Got it over there on a hop just in time, and Adames is nailed. Whoa, says Seager. For Chase, just another day at the shop. 1 down. Kyle Palmer. Parker takes it off the plate. Parker has the only hit, a single to center in the 2nd inning. 1-1. What a weekend. The Dodgers will be playing Pittsburgh. The Giants will be playing the Diamondbacks. And the Mets will be hosting the Yankees. For Don Mattingly, Friday night, it'll be Zach Greinke. Saturday, it'll be Clayton Kershaw. And then Sunday, it'll be Brett Anderson. 2-1. That misses, ball 3. 3-1 the count. Little chopper to short. On the run is Seager. Makes a better throw. And we have 2 down. Ben Paulson will be coming up.
Number 10.
Interesting about Paulson, what he's done in the 3 divisions. Against the Eastern Division, he's hitting .211. In the Central Division, however, he's hitting .384. And in the West, .220. 0-1 the count. Getting an update on the Giant game. They're in the top of the 4th inning, and the Giants behind Jake Peavy are 3-0. Peavy 3-0 in his last 4 starts. September, his great month. He's won 27 games in the month of September. And in his last win, he gave up just 1 run. 1 ball and 1 strike. 2-1. You see the way Wood extends that left arm and it goes almost behind his hips. That was the thing that has troubled a lot of experts like that. It not only goes behind but down. So far so good. Now all of a sudden the arm disappeared. Little dribbler foul, 3-2. He's got great stuff. He just hoped the arm will hold up. He's already, as we mentioned, had Tommy John surgery. 3-2, 2 down, 5th inning. Dodgers lead 1-0. off-speed breaking ball. Whoa, what a great pitch to Paulson. So down they go. That's 3, 6, 9, 10 in a row retired, and the Dodgers holding on to a 1-0 lead. LA is brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. Time is short, but the savings are big at Toyota's clearance countdown going on now. And by Jack in the Box. For a limited time, try the new Portobello Mushroom Buttery Jack with melted garlic herb butter. 1-0 favor of the Dodgers, bottom of the 5th inning. Chris Heisey will start it off against Jorge De La Rosa and pops it up. It'll be Reyes, the shortstop. 1 pitch, 1 away. Alex Wood, through 5 innings, has made only 53 pitches. We were talking about Alex Wood, hoping that he would not hurt his arm. The fact that he had Tommy John surgery a few years ago. On the other side of the ledger, the San Diego Padres has a right-hander, Josh Johnson, and Josh is ready to undergo his 3rd Tommy John surgery. Nice strike, 0-1. One away in the 5th, 1-0 Dodgers. For the Dodgers trying to win tonight to clinch the series 2-1. It also means then the Dodgers will have won 7th straight series. So Messrs. Kershaw and Greinke, along with the rest of the ball club, pretty much on a roll, having won 16 of the last 21. Chase Utley, he's been through it all. No balls, 2 strikes. Jock hit back to the box in the 2nd inning. 1-2. Another feature we have, at least matching them up, Jimmy Rollins not playing, but you're looking at 2 solid, good hitting shortstops. That'll do it for Peterson. Jimmy Rollins has over 2,400 hits, 2,414.
57.
Jose
Alex
Reyes,
Wood.
the shortstop for Colorado, 1,894. Then his manager, Walt Weiss, no slouch. Walt at shortstop had over 1,200 hits, a little bit more than Troy Tulowitzki. Yeah, Weiss was a good one. And a strike. We mentioned last night, Walt Weiss is a black belt in Taekwondo martial arts. Not a big man, but give him room. No balls and 1 strike. Oh, and 2. Jorge De La Rosa on an 0-2 pitch. Got him. So 2 strikeouts in the inning for Jorge, and as he walks off, a tough 5 with the Dodgers leading 1-0. In Cincinnati to play the Reds, although it looked like they weren't going to get the game in. There was a 2-hour and 27-minute rain delay, but eventually Tom Browning went to the mound for the Reds, and all he did was pitch a perfect game. By the way, the time of game, 1 hour and 51 minutes. Browning made 102 pitches, something like that. Had 2 good plays by Chris Sabo at third base, and Browning pitched the perfecto. The only one against the Dodgers before Don Larson in the World Series. Let's go back to this one. Dodgers trying to hold on to that 1-0 lead. The home run by A.J. Ellis. Battle of left-hander Alex Wood and Jorge De La Rosa. Brandon Barnes, then De La Rosa and Charlie Blackmon. Wood has only made 53 pitches. He's allowed 1 hit. That's a strike. Base hit center field by Kyle Parker. Wood has gotten everybody except for that hit. No walks. And a drive down the line, but hooking foul and staying foul. Oh, that was hit a long way. So Brandon Barnes with a no-ball 2-strike count. Bad ball. He had to go after it with 2 strikes, fouled it away. So Barnes stays alive at the plate, lunging at that pitch away. Still 0-2. We'll repeat, the Mets lost. So for the moment, the Dodgers leading New York by a half a game. 0-2. 1-2. Giants just add them up. Now leading the Reds 4-0. And that'll do it for Barnes. 4 strikeouts for Alex Wood. 1 down. and De La Rosa coming up. The Giants leading 4-0 in the fourth. They got that fourth run on a home run by Jake Peavy. De La Rosa tapped to third, 0 for 1. 1 run, 3 hits for the Dodgers. No runs, 1 hit for Colorado in the sixth. Breaking ball slapped to left, coming up and making that backhand sliding catch, Justin Ruggiano. So De La Rosa losing a base hit. Good play. Ruggiano going into a slide and grabbing the ball, and going into the slide, not only is he on the level with the ball, but he's under the lights. So now the leadoff man, Charlie Blackmon. Charlie grounded out twice. And a strike on 1. Blackmon in the series 2 for 9. Pulled foul, 0-2. There you can see Alex Wood has not had to work hard. 13 pitches in 2 different innings. So he's really cruising so far. 2 out, 6th inning, an 0-2 count. One run, 3 hits, 1 error for the Dodgers. A.J. Ellis led off the second inning, hit a 3-2 pitch for a home run, and that's it. His 6th of the year. So Charlie up there, 1-2 the count. Jose Reyes on deck. Got him. And Blackmon is furious, gesturing to the plate umpire. That's dangerous. But Charlie now walks away. So that's strikeout number 5. And he could not believe it. Meanwhile, he has to believe it. And in the middle of the 6th inning, 1-0 Dodgers.
First 40,000 in attendance will receive a Vince Scully bobblehead presented by Mercedes-Benz Dealers of Southern California. For tickets, go to Dodgers.com/promotions.
Dodgers trying to hold on to a 1-0 lead. Boy, Alex Wood is putting on a show. He's pitched 6 innings. 3 of the 6 innings, he made only 10 pitches in each inning. He had another inning where he made only 7. His toughest inning, 13 innings. So he's breezing and leading 1-0. Line drive inside third, down the line. So the Dodgers' Austin Barnes will wind up with a double as Kyle Parker gets the ball back in. So Barnes had been 0 for 2. Now goes 1 for 3 with the double. And Chase Utley coming up. He went down to get a pitch that was not a strike. Doesn't make any difference if he can blister it. So Barnes with a double. Nobody out. Dodgers trying to add to that 1-0 lead. His second double of the year. Now Utley, Ruggiano, and Seager trying to pick him up. Utley 2 ground balls. Both of them ground balls to the first baseman, Ben Paulson. Dodgers 1 run, 4 hits. Rockies no runs, 1 hit. Ball 1. One ball and no strikes. Strike, 1-1. With a runner at second, they load up the right side of the infield. So Arenado is all alone at third base. Off speed, cracked bat, smothered at first by Paulson. He has to dive at the bag for the out. And over to third goes Austin Barnes. So Ben Paulson pretty busy hitting the dirt twice. Utley cracking the bat. Take another look. Down he goes, gets up, now realizes going to be close, and he gets the glove on the bag. So 1 away. Barnes at third. Dodgers trying to add to a 1-0 lead. Nice play by Ben Paulson. Justin Ruggiano trying to pick up Barnes. Justin tripled off the glove of Charlie Blackmon in the first inning and grounded out in the fourth. The infield is up. Bouncer, comebacker. Nice play, and then De La Rosa almost threw that thing away. So 2 out. The ball was hit pretty hard. De La Rosa reacting quickly, looks over at third, and then kind of flip it high, and Paulson had to reach up and get it. So 2 down. Here's Corey Seager. Ron Renicky talking to Barnes over at third. Seager struck out and single left. Corey hitting .422. Oh, sure, it's early. He's only been in 13 games. 13 games, he has 19 hits. 1 home run, 7 runs batted in. Ground ball to the hole. Base hit. 2-0 in favor of the Dodgers. It's Seager again, and oh boy, Jorge is furious. He has to be careful too because it's Mexican community night. Ground ball, base hit, finds its way into right field. And De La Rosa muttering in at least one language, maybe 2 or 3. He's still hot. So Austin Barnes double, scores a run. Dodgers lead 2-0. Seager 2 for 3 with his single to right. That's really breaking in, isn't it? Seager 19 hits and now coming up with his 20th. 0-1 to Ellis. Ellis checking to make sure he swung at a strike. Good off-speed pitch. He has homered on a 3-2 pitch and walked. De La Rosa is still hot. He has not cooled off. Veteran left-hander. Remember, we talked about how he learned to take deep breaths to calm down. 0-1. 1-1. So the Dodgers got the home run by Ellis in the second inning, the double by Barnes, and the single by Seager in the sixth, and the Dodgers holding on to a 2-0 lead. Meanwhile, Yasmani Grandal talking to Austin Barnes, the veteran receiver, talking to a kid who catches but also plays second base. 1-1. Seager has 2 stolen bases. Ball 2. When the Rockies come up in the 7th inning, they'll have Jose Reyes, Nolan Arenado, and then Willen Rosario. They are 0-for-6 amongst them. 2-1. Hit to first, stepped on the bag. That'll be that. However, the Dodgers get the double by Barnes and the single by Seager to pick him up. And at the end of 6, Dodgers 2, Rockies nothing. Brought to you by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Choose Nissan.com. And by DraftKings. Play daily fantasy baseball for free on DraftKings.com. Use promo code BlueCrew for free entry. Austin Barnes started the game at second base, went 1 for 3 with a double, and now gives way to Ronald Torreyes to play second base as we go into the next notch, which would be inning number 7. Jose Reyes to start it off. Ball 1. By the way, Corey Seager against left-hand pitching, he is 7 for 19. That's a .368 batting average, and going 2 for 3 against the veteran left-hander Jorge De La Rosa. De La Rosa made only 10 pitches in the 6th inning, but he's down 2-0. 2-0 the count to Reyes. And ball 3 to Jose. Wood has been brilliant through 6. He's retired 13 in a row. In there. We mentioned that Jake Peavy hit a home run tonight to give the Giants a 4-0 lead. When you break down the home runs hit by Giant players, it comes as quite a surprise. Fly ball to deep right center, but playable. Heisey makes the play, and we have one down. And the batter will be Nolan Arenado. Home runs for the Giants. The left fielder has 9, whoever it might be. The pitchers, including Madison Bumgarner, have hit 9. Peavy tonight. The center fielder, which is now Angel Pagan. Earlier it was Gregor Blanco. The Giants center fielders have a total of 3 home runs. Arenado struck out, hit back to the box, 0 for 2. And ball 1 to Nolan. Arenado, the hero last night with that home run in the 16th. Arenado 0 for 2, so he is 4 for 13 in the series. He has a double and a home run. Chasing Bryce Harper. By the way, Bryce Harper, hitting his 40th tonight, became the 6th player in Major League history to have a 40 home run season at the age of 22 or even younger. Bryce will be 23 in October. Boy, some great names in that list. High fly ball, it's playable. Heisey is there. 2 down. What's ahead for the Dodgers? Well, they'll say goodbye to Colorado until they go to Denver at the end of the month. Meanwhile, here come the Pirates Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Dodgers then dig in for Arizona. And then their last road trip, Colorado, San Francisco, and the last 3 regular season games here at Dodger Stadium against San Diego. Yep, the days are dwindling down. 2 out, and here's Rosario. And he pops it up. This time it's Peterson. 3 fly balls, so Alex Wood has now retired 16 in a row. And as he walks off in the 7th inning, Dodgers lead 2-0. Bottom of the 7th inning, 2-0 in favor of the Dodgers behind a brilliant pitching performance by Alex Wood. He made 9 pitches in the 7th inning. He's only made 72 pitches in the game, and he's leading 2-0. Ball 1 to Alex Guerrero. We were talking about Bryce Harper, about the fact he now hit 40 at the age of 22. Look at the elite company he has. A hopper backhanded by Reyes, sets for the throw. One away. Bryce Harper has 40. Juan Gonzalez hit 43. Johnny Bench hit 45. Eddie Matthews hit 40, and the year before he hit 47. Mel Ott hit 42, and Joe DiMaggio hit 46. So Harper is indeed with the giants of the game. One away, and here is Chris Heisey. Curveball whacked down the left field line, in there. So Heisey on his way for a stand-up double after the leadoff double by Barnes brought in a run in the 6th, and the leadoff double by Ellis. And Ellis was the home run. So the Dodgers in position to score again. Heisey just whacks that curveball into left. So the Dodgers tonight have 2 doubles, a triple, and a home run, and they're leading 2-0. De La Rosa working on Jock Peterson, who hit back to the box and struck out. Young Jock hitting .218, 25 home runs, 52 runs batted in. Mets lost, so the Dodgers tonight trying to win their 7th consecutive series, going 2 for 3 against the Rockies. And the Dodgers could be 1 game in front of the Mets when this game ends. Maybe. All for home field advantage. Heisey at second, 1 out. You know, really, one thing last night with all the stuff that went on, I saw something I have never, ever seen before. Not that I've seen it all. A pitcher trying to pull the hidden ball trick on a runner at second base. I mean, that was right out of the sand line. Right. And the runner was Adrian Gonzalez, who could write a book. Well, you can't blame Russin. He was trying. 1 ball and 1 strike, 1 out. 7th inning, Heisey at second base. Reyes directly behind him, so he can't take a big lead. 2 runs, 6 hits for the Dodgers. No runs, 1 hit for Colorado. The base hit, a 2-out, clean as a whistle single by Kyle Parker. De La Rosa really slowing down the pace with a runner at second. Pretty good fastball. 2-2. Hitting behind Peterson is the pitcher and the man of the night, Alex Wood. And there goes the runner, Heisey, on a foul ball. Chris was off and running to steal third. Willen Rosario going out to remind De La Rosa, you better keep an eye on him out there at second. There you can take a look. Heisey goes. That was a big windup, Bay De La Rosa. So that, of course, is what Will and Rosario said. Hey, how about a little bit of a slide step instead of raising that leg? Heisey with Reyes directly behind him. No, still raises the leg and the breaking ball away. 3-2. Adames, Parker, and Paulson due up in the 8th inning. 1 out, 3-2 the count to Peterson. Heisey, who doubled at second base. Reyes directly behind him. Big chopper to first. Paulson will take it to the bag. He has the play in front of him. Heisey advances to third. So Jock Peterson goes 0 for 3, and Alex Wood coming up.
Pitcher number 57, Alex Wood.
Alex Wood flied to right and struck out. De La Rosa with a runner at third, a concern for him. He has 6 wild pitches. In there nicely for a strike. Off speed. They usually don't change up on a pitcher unless he's a good hitting pitcher. And De La Rosa saw Wood hit that long fly ball in the 3rd inning, and I guess he's been told that Alex isn't bad with the bat. 0-1. And that's in there. 0-2. You know, we mentioned earlier tonight Jake Peavy hit a home run for the Giants. The last Peavy home run came over 9 years ago, and he hit it here at Dodger Stadium against Brad Penny. 0-2 the count to Alex Wood. Fastball away. Dodgers leading 2-0. Bottom of the 7th inning. In the dirt. Good block by Rosario. Heisey down the line from third. Had no chance to come in. Rosario just made sure he blocked it. Kept the ball out in front of the plate. That's right out of Roy Campanella's technique book. Keep the ball out in front of you. 2-2. Got him. All right, down goes Wood. Dodgers leave a runner at third, and we are heading for the 8th inning with the Dodgers leading 2-0. defensive players. A.J. Ellis the home run, Austin Barnes a double, Corey single, Seager with 2 singles and an RBI. But the name that should really be glistening in capital letters, sure, Alex Wood. He's gone 7 innings. He has allowed 1 hit. He goes to the mound having retired 16 in a row, and the Dodgers strengthen the defense. Adrian Gonzalez takes over at first base. Chase Utley is back to a more familiar second base. And here come the Rockies trying to break through.
Moving over to second base, number 26, Chase Utley.
Alex Wood will be facing Adames, who hit back to the box, grounded to short. Ronald Torreyes is now at third base, and Guerrero comes out. And here we go. And a big changeup away, ball 1. 1-0. Christian Adames 0 for 2. Fastball hit down Utley. So 1 out. 17 in a row retired by Alex Wood. Say, friends, be sure to keep up with the pennant races in true HD quality on MLB.TV Premium. You can watch every out-of-game live on more than 400 supported devices, real-time highlights, live look-ins, and more. So visit MLB.TV today. Dodgers 2 runs, 6 hits. Colorado no runs, 1 hit. That was back in the second inning. A 2-out single by Parker. High pop fly. Who's going to get them? Nobody, but it's a foul ball. To show you the only hit, 2 out in the second inning, and Kyle Parker was the batter. And the right-hand batter got a fastball and whacked it into right center, cut off nicely by Jock Peterson. And that's it. Since then, 17 in a row retired. Down in the Dodger bullpen, Jim Johnson and J.P. Howell. They pitched in last night's game. Heck, everybody but you pitched in last night's game. 0-1. Ground ball to short. Seager. So 18 in a row retired since the base hit by Parker. Then Paulson hit back to the box and struck out. So for Wood, he retired 5 in a row, gave up a hit. Now he's retired 18 straight. Paulson 0 for 2, a strike, 0-1. And a chopper to Utley. Nice big bounce for him. Well, okay, that's 19 in a row retired by young Alex Wood. Took only 6 pitches to retire the side, and it's still 2-0 Dodgers. Tweet your photo for a chance to be shown in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Watch Alec Wood and Don Mattingly. Mattingly's going to shake his hand, and Wood doesn't want to because he wants to stay in the game, but he has to follow the manager's order. Reluctantly shakes Mattingly's hand, and he's done for the night. A one-hitter. He retired 19 in a row, made only 78 pitches. In fact, in the 8th inning, he made only 6. So the Dodger bullpen really going to work last night, remember? But it looks like Kenley Jansen is going to begin to warm up. Torres will lead it off. Alex Wood deep in thought. So near and yet so far a one-hitter through 8. The hit came with 2 out in the 2nd inning, and he did not give anything else. Little roller to third. Arenado on the run. 1 down.
Second baseman.
Chase Utley started the game at first, finishing up at second, is 0 for 3. 3 times he hit the ground ball to first baseman Ben Paulson. When the Rockies come up in the 9th inning, they are due to have Brandon Barnes, then the pitcher De La Rosa, and Charlie Blackmon against Kenley Jansen. Ball 1. Giants are leading the Reds 4-1 in the 6th inning. The magic number going in was 11, so a Dodger victory would cut it to 10. Line drive, speared at second base. Adames making the play, though Utley goes 0 for 4. Justin Ruggiano tripled off the glove of Charlie Blackmon, but did not score. Rounded to short, hit back to the box. Justin 1 for 3. And a strike. 0-1. Alex Wood getting fist bumps. Congratulations. Remember, Alex Wood is only 24. He's only been playing professionally since 2012. A Bulldog, all right, out of the University of Georgia. Grandfather was a basketball player at North Carolina. 1-1. Big swing, nothing else. 1-2. Alex Wood made his major league debut against the Toronto Blue Jays 2 years ago in May. Came in out of the bullpen. Fastball away. Braves were leading in that game 11-3. They brought in Alex Wood in the 9th inning, and his mom began to cry as soon as he saw the bullpen gates open and he was coming into the game. And as she said, it was overwhelming to watch him walk in and keep thinking, that's my son. Jose Reyes committing an error with 2 out. And the batter will be Corey Seager. Backhand, and it just got away. Seager has struck out, single to left, single to right, hitting .435. He has 20 hits already. And ball one. The paid attendance tonight, 45,906. Beautiful night in the ballpark, 73 degrees. One ball, no strikes. Two down. Ruggiano at first. 1-1. Seager, let's take it, has one advantage. The league not accustomed to pitching to him. They're not quite sure where the holes are, if there are any. But pitchers talk. How'd you get that guy out? Well, I threw him. And it goes all around the league. One ball and one strike. Fastball. So with two down in the eighth, Dodgers lead 2-0. And Alex Wood could and did a one-hitter for 8 innings. Wait till his mom hears about that. A.J. Ellis waiting on deck. 1-2. Gets away for strike 3. They don't have to throw. First base was occupied. So no runs, no hits, an error, and a man left. And at the end of 8, it's 2-0 Dodgers. Kenley Jansen reporting for work. Dodger Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by your Southern California Kia dealers. Visit mysocalkia.com to learn more. And by Flex Alert. This summer, the power is in your hands. FlexAlert.org. We have reached the 9th inning. The Dodgers lead 2-0, and Kenley Jansen now has the responsibility of holding on to a one-hitter. A magnificent effort by young Alex Wood. The only hit came in the second inning. It was clean as a whistle, base hit. He retired 19 in a row after the hit. So for Kenley, a very tough act to follow. Daniel Descalso, who appeared as a pinch hitter last night and had a base hit. Alex Wood staying in the dugout to see how it comes out. The veteran who spent 5 years with the Cardinals waiting at the plate. Pulled foul, 0-1. Corey Dickerson, left-hand hitter, left fielder. He's coming up next. No balls and one strike. 0-2. strike 3 called. So that's 20 in a row. There's the Dodger bullpen last night, and the one man who did not get into that game, Kenley Jansen, comes in here in the 9th, strikes out Descalso, and the batter now will be Corey Dickerson. He only hit a single by Parker in the 2nd inning. They ought to check the scoreboard because they have the Rockies credited for 2 hits. And they only had 1. So they got to take that deuce down. Meanwhile, ball 1 to Corey Dickerson. So the totals right now, the Dodgers 2 runs, 6 hits, 1 error, and they now corrected. Colorado no runs, 1 hit, and 1 error. Corey Dickerson with the bases empty, trying to get aboard for Charlie Blackmon. And a high fly ball, very playable. Ruggiano. So 1 out away from a 1-hitter. And with 2 out, Charlie Blackmon checking in. Corey Dickerson had a tough series. He wound up going 1 for 8.
Center fielder number 19, Charlie Blackmon.
Charlie Blackmon tonight in the leadoff role, 0 for 3, struck out once. He's 2 for 10 in the series. And remember, Colorado has been a run-producing machine. And Alex Wood shut him down to 1 hit. Giants are leading the Reds 4-1 in the 6th inning. So 2 things again. The Dodgers leading 2-0. The Mets lost, so the Dodgers could have a 1-game lead as far as home field advantage. They would also reduce the number, the magic number, down to 10. 2-0. Dodgers rest tomorrow, and then they're in for a scramble. The Pittsburgh Pirates, who have beaten the Dodgers 3 times, will be in here on the weekend. Pirates swept the Dodgers in Pittsburgh. Little foul ball. Carlos Gonzalez, who probably had, and he's a wonderful ball player, but I would think for Carlos Gonzalez, last night was the worst night of his major league career. He went 0 for 7. He struck out 4 times. He never hit the ball out of the infield, and for good measure, fouled a ball on his instep and had to come out. 2-1 to Charlie Blackmon. Crowd of 45,906 and a hopper into right field. So the Rockies are still alive. They can put that extra hit up now. And Carlos Gonzalez coming up. So a very dangerous hitter. Forget about the problems he had last night. Carlos Gonzalez with 37 home runs represents the possible tying run. Gonzalez with that bad night last night, 2 for 11 in the series. So A.J. Ellis talking things over, and well, he should. Kenley Jansen going up against Carlos Gonzalez. Gonzalez 3 for 10 with a double. So he's hitting 300 against Kenley. Two runs, 6 hits for the Dodgers. No runs, 2 hits for Colorado. So after 21 in a row retired, the base hit by Blackmon. 0-1 to Carlos Gonzalez. Brett Anderson right alongside of young Alex Wood, Mattingly, Rick Honeycutt. So near and yet so far. Dodgers load up the right side. Gonzalez way out in front of it. He was guessing fastball, and as the hitters say, he was cheating. He started his swing a little early. So 45,000 up and at him. Foul back. Dodgers trying to win the series, 7 straight series. Trying to win 2 out of 3. Ah, yes, there she is. Meanwhile, not much to cheer about in the Colorado dugout. 0-2 to Carlos Gonzalez, or Cargo as they call him in Denver. 1-2. Since June the 2nd, Carlos hit 33 home runs. Got him. So for Gonzalez, he goes down. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. A magnificent game pitched by Alex Wood. 2 runs, 6 hits, and 1 error for the Dodgers. No runs, 2 hits, 1 error for the Rockies. Jansen made 14 pitches to lock it up. And for Alex Wood, certainly a game to remember. He's the player of the game, allowing 1 hit in 8 innings. He retired 19 in a row before they brought Jansen in to pitch the 9th inning. So the Dodgers are off tomorrow. They can